So moving on next to Swapcard, who I'm sure most of you will be familiar with, I'd like to invite Beezar, Sirini to the stage to talk about smart events, a way to boost your event ROI and attendee experience. So Beezar, thank you. A slow walk.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Afternoon, yes, sorry, time zone issues. Welcome, my name is Beezar, and at Swapcard, I am responsible for onboarding some of our clients. Aletta is one of those clients. Thank you, Aletta, for joining us. Would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Aletta. I'm CMO of Jaarbeurs in Utrecht and responsible for all marketing, communications, online platforms, and for our events. So we are a venue owner and an event organizer, so we combine the two things in one.
Lovely. Aletta and I have been speaking for the last couple of months and working with her team extensively on evaluating why and how to run smart events. So with that in mind, I wanted not to come on stage and introduce Swapcard as a solution, but introduce the thinking and the approach of Aletta and her team into running smart events and how digital fits within that. So Aletta, my question to you is the following. How do you guys incorporate digital into your events, and to what extent is that very deliberate? How do you think about it?
What we do at Jaarbeurs, what we feel is that we should deliver smart, hybrid events and that we facilitate AI matchmaking in our events. So what we do, we have just events, so we run shows every year, but we also have our strategic markets. And what we do in our strategic markets, we say we want to be a community brand. So we want people to stick around, so the buyers and the sellers, for the whole year. And there we are using the community facilities.
Thank you. And these community facilities, if we look at the future of events, if we look at ourselves, we had a couple of people that were speaking today that weren't able to attend. People want to consume content when it's relevant and in the format that best fits them and their desires. So one of the things that we're really trying to support our clients with, and where they're winning prizes, not because of our technology, but they're winning prizes because of the innovation they're doing within their own organization around sustainability, around the digital venue map that you guys have developed yourself for B2B events and tracking. Where our clients are really, really successful is when they take the digital approach into their event planning, event execution, community building from the ground up. So rather than it being an afterthought, it is something that they are very conscious of and doing from the ground up when they're designing these communities and are looking to craft and build out these experiences. Aletta, a follow-up question is the following. In an ideal world, we haven't discussed this, so this is going to be fun. In an ideal world, if you could have everything you would desire, what would an event experience look like from your end user perspective? Let's say in 2023. You could have it all.
Yeah. What we see is, because I'm not from the industry, I just entered the industry 3 years ago. I used to work at retail for 10 years. So what we saw in retail is that when e-commerce came, everybody thought all the shops would be closed. And what we saw is that that's not true. So we stayed shopping in shopping malls, in nice physical places, but we also shop online. And what we also learned, so I worked for the 10th biggest, largest retailer of the world. What we learned is that if people are buying your products or your events or maybe your content or whatever they're buying, if they're buying it online and offline, that they're not valuable twice as much, but 3 times or 4 times as much. So I think this is really important also to infuse in this industry. What we saw, COVID came, we all went online, and now we are all open, so really happy to be physical here. But what we also see is that we all go back again to physical. And what I believe is that if you have a really strong brand for a market, for an industry, and you have the possibility to actually grab that connection the whole year round, that you can be more successful. So I think that's, if you feel you have the best brand in your event organization, you should actually try to attract the people year-round, and not only once a year or once every 2 years.
And I think that makes perfect sense. If we look at the platforms we all spend most of our times on, and I feel old, so I'm not going to mention TikTok or things like that, but if I look at the amount of time I spend on a LinkedIn or amount of time I spend on Instagram, I don't spend that amount of time because I want to look at advertising. That's not a reason why I shamefully admit that my phone says that I'm 4 hours on YouTube on a weekly basis. I play some podcasts on there, so that justifies maybe 1 hour, but the rest is wasted. But the reason I do that is because I want to consume people-generated content. And the reason I go back constantly on LinkedIn, say, is not because I want to see yet another sponsored piece of content, because I want to see what one of my clients, Jaarbeurs, is doing, or that our other client, Cologne or IFEMA, won awards here. So to stay in touch with the community and to see generated content from people like Aletta, from other clients, from other industries, old colleagues that have moved on and are developing things around sustainability is really, really important. Question to you, Aletta. How is your content strategy? I know we've had this conversation, you guys have a very clear understanding of how you want to deliver content and leverage human-generated content as well. How important is content going into the future, essentially?
Yeah, it's working again, thanks. If you want to be a leading brand, you should have the relevant content at the right moment, serving to the right customer. So that's all. So that's my marketing background. So that's as easy as it is. That is marketing. So if you say, okay, I am this relevant brand all year round, you need to have the best content at the moment that the people want your content. So that's really relevant. So we have, for a strategic market, we say, okay, we have this separate teams that generate content. We have a normal content platform. And then what we do, we put, for only two of our communities, we put Swapcard behind it. So we can combine actually the physical event content with all the online content in our platform. And that way we can build a full community.
Thank you. And I think one of the reasons, and I've said this often, I'm going to say it publicly, is that I really value the approach that Aletta brings to the organization, but also to her own team, is where they have this fully orchestrated, combined efforts and energy and synergy within the organization to deliver a inclusive event experience from a technology perspective, but also from the attendee experience perspective. We recently had an event that we powered for Cologne, that was the Mexico, and we had 95% adoption on a 20,000 person audience. And those stands are different, and I know, adoption is a key driver of any form of success. If you could share one or two things which you think would change the pendulum on adoption, or things that you're thinking and contemplating about making sure that the content that you are generating, the communities that you are building, actually get traction within the audiences that you're targeting, what would that be?
I think the adoption of their content platform is really easy. You just, if you do the right marketing automation to your target group, you know who to target, when, with the right content, then it's really easy. I think the physical adoption of online tools in events is much more difficult. You can, of course, push the ticket in the app, but what we see, it has to be relevant for your visitor. It has to be, there has to be perks or something you don't want to miss. For instance, what we have, we build our own indoor navigation. What we have is that people can find their way in our venue. So that's really relevant for them. So I think you can also put gamification in there and all other stuff. But it needs to be relevant for them to download and have a full adoption on your product. But that's still, I think, a challenge when you say it's free will. You may download, you can download. So it's still a challenge, I think, for everybody who's not actually pushing it.
Yeah. And I think before we round up, obviously you don't want to hear me talk. And you guys have a very dynamic organization. And I speak to a lot of your peers in other countries where it's a lot more challenging to drive change, both on a technology stack as well as an organizational side of things. One piece, you come from outside of the industry, one piece of advice that you could share with your peers that would be beneficial for all, and it absolutely doesn't have to be related to anything that we do, but just from a, driving innovation within a large organization.
I think what is a good piece of advice, think that your B2B customer is just the same customer who's buying online on eBay and Googling or using his app or using his Android. If you just see them as normal customers and you make your products the way that they do, purely customer experience first, I think that helps to adoption and to actually engage your visitors and to help your visitors to connect to your buyers.
Thank you. I hope that was really valuable. Last thing that I want to end on, and I see Nick coming, so that's definitely my cue. We have a ping pong match going on tomorrow. If you win, you get one instance of our community that you can entirely white label and get all of the support and the consulting that's associated with that to make sure that you can drive some of the innovation that Aletta and our team are driving and see how we could support you as well. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day, and I look forward to being either beaten by you or beat you at table tennis. Thank you.